How's it going, guys? As always, guys, today is Wednesday. I'm going to be driving a little bit up to my friend's house. So, as always, I always like to do a live stream when I do that. Um, for those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. Thank you very much. For everybody else coming back, I appreciate the support. And I just want to say again, if you get the chance and you like any of my videos, please feel free to share them with the community or with anybody that you like. That is the best way for you to say thank you to me. Today we are going to talk about a few different things. The first, I'd say 10 to 15 minutes or so, is going to be me just recapping what I found in this news article. And then after that, I'll be talking about a new rideshare service coming to a couple select cities. So let's just dive right into this quick, okay? So this article was out of California, I believe. I put a link in the description below. It says rideshare companies such as Uber and Lyft have changed transportation in hundreds of cities around the world, allowing people with vehicles to earn and also giving commuters an alternative way to travel. But are rideshare drivers fairly compensated? Do they work for Uber and Lyft as employees or as independent contractors? New proposed laws in California aim to settle the matter, but critics say it raises many questions as it answers. Well, obviously, we all know that. And if anybody is new to the scene and doesn't know what we're talking about, this also kind of pertains to AB5. And I honestly don't think, I can't really read that article in here. But basically, it's just, it's again talking about AB5. It raises more questions than it answers. If anybody doesn't know, AB5 is going to be, as of January, it's going to affect California. We don't necessarily know exactly how yet, but I'm honestly looking forward to this. Two reasons. One, it's not in my market, thank God. But a lot of people, at least in my mind, me, Hassan Is Driving, Chris from Real Rideshare Stories, we're going to be looking into how this is affecting people in California. I have one or two people that are going to send me information, hopefully on a daily or weekly basis, so I can bring it to you guys. But this is something that I'm looking at because you don't know how it's going to affect the rest of the nation in the future. With that being said, you never really know. So I'm always looking, and not just for YouTube, but for me in general, if I'm driving for a company or if I'm doing any business exactly in a specific area or space, whether it's a tech company or driving for Uber and Lyft, if I'm an electrician or whatever, I'm always looking for stuff that's going to affect me personally and try and keep up to date with it. Because at the end of the day, this may not affect you now, it might not be in your market. What's up, bud? Welcome to the channel. Like we said, AB5 is going to go live in January. It's in California, so this may not affect your market right now, but depending on how it affects California, other states might adopt this. We already saw changes in New York City. So with that being said, if you are a driver, I would definitely keep a close eye on it. I honestly don't know where everybody is right now, bud. It is 3:45, so maybe people are getting off work. So with that being said, it's something that I definitely am going to keep a close eye on moving forward into the new year, at least, just to see how it kind of affects everything. How's it going, everybody? I'm now showing 3 people into the channel. Welcome. Thank you for showing up. So yeah, with that article, that I put on here, I thought it was a longer article. I read it earlier and I could have swore it was. But like I said, I'm driving right now, so I do want to. It's more. If you go onto the article, there's a video that talks about it more in depth. The article that I read earlier, the article's not that long, but the video is actually longer and speaks more to the matter of how it's going to affect California a little bit. So who knows? We'll see how that works. The next topic that I wanted to talk about was a new rideshare service that's coming to the market. No, we're not talking about Trip, for anybody that asks. This rideshare service, I actually, for some reason or another, I got contacted by one of the higher up people in the company to talk about it. I am going to have either a phone call or an email conversation this Friday with one of their higher ups in the company. The rideshare service is called Vibe Rides. I don't know if anybody's heard about it yet. They are based, as far as I know, I have talked to one of the people. The reason why they contacted me actually was I am part of a lot of different groups on Facebook for Uber and Lyft. They contacted me through one of the Florida groups that I'm part of. I believe it was the Tampa one. It might be the Miami. I'm not sure which. They are based out of Miami and Florida right now. And I do believe they are also in Houston or Dallas. I can't remember exactly which one in Texas. But the company's called Vibe Rides. I don't have a whole lot of information. I have some things that I've heard, but I haven't had anything that's definite about the company yet. They're basically like another rideshare service like Uber and Lyft. From what I've heard from a couple drivers, they do give more money to the driver and the company gets less. So that's a plus. I also have heard, and I'm not 100% sure on any of this stuff yet, we're doing an actual video once I get more information from the company itself, which is why I'm actually glad they contacted me, so that way I can do an actual video with 100% legitimate actual information from the company. But as of right now, like I said, I'm going on what I've heard. So this may be true, it might not be. As far as I've heard currently from other drivers and people in the markets in those areas, they are based currently at 3 cities, 2 of which are Miami and Tampa in Florida. From what I've heard, they give 75 to 80% of the fare to the driver. I've also heard that they currently work with Uber and Lyft. I don't know how exactly that works, but so what I've heard is, say in an area, if you drive for Vibe Rides and say Uber doesn't have enough drivers, they will outsource it to the company and then they would pick you up, not an Uber or Lyft. I don't know how exactly that works, but that's just something I've heard. It would actually be nice in some areas where maybe they don't have enough drivers for Uber or Lyft. So we'll see how that works, but it definitely looks, from all the things that I've heard, it looks like a good company. I definitely have lots of questions to ask this person, and I actually have been sending the lady that I'm talking to right now. She told me to just send her any questions or concerns I have. As I get them, and she will pass them on. You don't think it's gonna last, crybaby? It may or may not. Who knows? I personally believe, and this is just my opinion, I've said it before and I'll continue to say it again, I personally believe for the rideshare industry to last, I personally feel that Uber and Lyft at some point are going to have to merge. If you have new rideshare services coming into the market and to be able to compete, Uber and Lyft, I think their biggest downfall right now is the fact that they're always lowering rates to compete with each other because they're the two biggest properties in the industry right now. I feel that for them to be able to not only compete with other newer companies, but to compete with each other, it would almost make sense for them to merge and become one company. Because then they could set the rates how they seem fit. They're the two biggest property holders in the market right now. So it would just make sense for them to come together. Instead of fighting each other, it would make sense for them to come together and be able to work together instead of bat heads, if that makes sense. But we'll see what happens. I honestly feel probably within the next... Really? What do you say? Just did a blinker? So yeah, who knows? Let's see if I can switch this. Hold on, guys. My phone's being stupid. There we go. That's a little bit better. But other than that, guys, I just wanted to, if anybody has questions for me about that company, I may not be able to answer them right now, but like I said, I'm going to have what I would hopefully be a very long conversation on Friday with somebody that is a higher up in the company. And I plan on asking her a lot of questions about the company itself, how it started. I do know the name of the person that started it, but I don't have it on the top of my head right now. But just in general, the history of the company, where they started, why they started, what the mission of the company is. Also, like a lot of the things that Uber and Lyft overlook. The safety of the drivers, the safety of the passengers, what safety regulations and things they are implementing, how they are different from Uber and Lyft. Moving forward, are they gonna? I know that right now, from what I understand, with this company, if you want to drive with them as a driver, you have to pay for, what I understand, you have to, as a driver, have to pay for your own background check, which I'm not against doing. You also have to pay for your own, what is it, background check and something else. There's two things that you have to pay for. But a lot of companies, some companies are like that. So I don't see that as necessarily being a bad thing. Especially with a company that's just starting out. To me, that makes sense. That way they don't have as many upfront costs. So that to me is not a big deal. Like I said, it's currently not in my market. They originally came to me and asked me if I would sign up new drivers and things like that, because they thought I was based out of Tampa, because I was in that Facebook group. And I talked to Liddy and told her, like, said, hey, I can't put my name out there on the line if I don't drive for the company, because I don't know how the company exactly works, because I don't drive with you. Like with Uber and Lyft, I can sit here and I can give actual information and non-biased information because I drive with the company. But as I told her, I said, you're not technically in my market right now because I live in Pennsylvania and you're only based in Miami, Tampa, and I want to say Houston. If that's wrong, I'm sorry. I'll let you guys know later. But so I told the lady, I said, I can't sit here and in my own conscience refer drivers to your company if I don't have any information for your company because I don't drive for you. So that's why she was like, well, if you want, she's like, I will sit with you, or I will get somebody higher up that will be able to answer all your questions, concerns, comments, or whatever. And then moving forward, if I want to, I can refer drivers to the company. So that would be my intentional goal in the long run, is to be able to get, hopefully, find people in those markets that I can refer. And then hopefully they can give me information as far as if they like the company, how it's working out, things like that. And then I can come back to you guys and let you know in the future how it's working. Since I can't physically drive for the company, I would love to get some people in those markets. Maybe if you drive for them already, let me know. Let me know how it's working out for you. Let me know how it is. So with that being said, guys, it is now 17 minutes into the conversation. Does anybody have any questions or concerns for me as far as this new company? Any of my previous videos, questions, concerns, comments? I don't have anything going on right now in my life currently. Like I said, I'm driving up to my girlfriend's house right now, so I just figured I'd talk about some of the things going on currently. Like I said, with Uber and Lyft, things to look forward to in the new year. I will say, if you don't expect Christmas to be busy, I drove last year. John, the new company is called Vibe Rides, VIBE Rides. If you Google it, it does come up under Vibe Rides, I believe. They're currently only based out of Miami, Tampa, Florida, and what was the last? I want to say Houston, Texas. That might be wrong though. It might be Austin or Dallas. I know it's one of the bigger cities in Texas. I just can't remember exactly which one. They just started out only a couple, I want to say 4 to 6 weeks ago. I have been getting a lot of people on Facebook from different Florida Facebook groups messaging me about signing up and all this other stuff, and I always told them no because I don't live in Florida. However, this lady contacted me, and apparently she is one of the main investors. I'm not 100% sure, but so I've been talking with her over the past week about trying to get an actual interview going. Yes, the goal, John, is for them to expand. So yes, John, to answer your question, the goal, I would assume, like every other rideshare service, is to expand. But as you know, you can only start in one or two places at a time, depending on state regulations, safety concerns, and all that type of stuff. So I would assume they're doing it just like Uber and Lyft did, starting out in a couple cities. Once those cities take off and start to grow, then they'll expand to other cities. But with that being said, I'm not 100% sure because I don't have all that information yet. That is actually a really good question, and it's one thing I will bring up in my discussion with the person I'm going to talk to on Friday about. How do you like living in Reno? We got our first decent sized snow up here. I think I had 3 inches laying on the ground this morning. It was the first time this year I had to clean my car off. Hopefully you guys get a really good Christmas. Christmas week here, I'm probably going to be working as much as I can at my full-time job because a lot of people are off. But I do expect to drive a little bit. Not sure how busy it's going to be. Usually Christmas, for some reason, is either a hit or a miss. You either get you either get not many rides at all because people are with family, people drive their own cars, or you get a lot because a lot of drivers don't drive on the holiday, and then if you do, and there is a lot of demand, then you're busy. So it's one of those holidays. It's kind of a hit or miss. I probably will not be driving on Christmas Day per se, but I'll probably go out that weekend. You were supposed to get snow in Nevada. What's the current temperature out there? I know I was talking to somebody yesterday that lives out there, and I think they said it was like 35, 38. Yeah. That's crazy. I can't believe that it's that low out there. I had a friend that went to Florida recently. I want to say it was like a week or two ago, and they said it was like mid 40s, and I'm like I can't picture Florida being that cold because every time I've been there it's been like 70s or higher. That's even like the last time I remember going down there over Christmas when I was like 18 or 19. Um, I went down there over Christmas break to Disney World, and I remember it being like mid 70s, and it was crazy because I couldn't believe it. But global warming and all. Nobody thinks global warming is real, but holy crap. Yeah, it wasn't that cold here 2 weeks ago. And I live in Pennsylvania, so to me, that's cold. Oh, I hate traffic. This is why I go live, guys, right now when I'm driving to my girlfriend's house, because it's literally bumper to bumper traffic, and everyone always gives me shit for driving and going on a live stream at the same time. They keep telling me you're gonna get in an accident, all this other shit. And it's like, no, I'm really not, because it's bumper to bumper traffic, and it always driving in bumper to bumper traffic. I honestly don't know how people can do it in like California and some of these bigger cities where like Los Angeles, for example. I don't think I could drive in Los Angeles, especially on like some of the beltways and stuff out there, because it's so damn packed that you literally sit in traffic for like an hour to go like 10 minutes. I'm always careful, John. Mainly when I drive, I do not really look at, like when I'm talking on live streams, especially if I'm going above like, if I'm if it's not bumper to bumper, I'm not really looking at the channel. I'm just talking. Um, if I stop at a red light, then I'll look and I'll go through the comments quick to talk to see if anybody has anything, or if it pops up, then I'll talk about it quick if I can glance down and look. But normally, for the most part, when I go on a live stream, I'm not looking at I'm not looking at the channel. I'm just talking about the topics I need to talk about, and then every chance or whenever I can, I'll glance down and talk. Um, Speaking of that, um, just in case anybody's wondering, and if you come in and you want to know, or if you didn't know before, the two kids that got arrested for the robbery, they are currently. I got a message a week or two ago. I can't remember exactly. They are being moved, or they were moved to a federal prison. So the case based from a county or a state case to a federal case. So I'm not 100% sure exactly what that entails, other than probably harder charges, more time served. But at some point, most likely, I'll probably end up having to go to court, um, especially if they don't just plea out, which I don't understand why they didn't in the first place, but who knows. Um, so, yeah. So, John, do you currently drive for Uber and Lyft? I always wonder when people come into the live streams, or the people that watch the channel. I always wonder exactly how they pertain to the channel, as far as if they're a rider, a driver, um, and how exactly. Teddy, you drive for both? Uber. John, Uber only, no Lyft. May I ask why you only do one? Part-time, 30 hours a week. I would consider 30 hours more full-time than part-time, but that's just me. I mean, I guess it depends on the hours. You were deactivated by Lyft due to false reports, and they didn't hear my side. Well, that makes sense. They do that a lot. That's another thing I kind of want to bring up with this new company, to see what their views are on that. Um, I personally feel, depending on what the report is, I'm the same way, Teddy. I hustle like crazy. I used to, when I first started doing Uber and Lyft, um, I worked 40 hours a week on my full-time job, and I would literally put in probably another 40-ish on Uber and Lyft, between 30 and 40. I'd get in the morning, and then I would drive for like 4 hours a day during the week. So I'd put in like 20 hours during the week, and maybe another 20 on the weekends, Fridays and Saturdays, driving also. So yeah. But now that when I first started, I didn't necessarily know how to maximize my market. Now that I do that, and now that I also go down to Philly, because I used not to go down to Philly that much when I first started out, um, but now I try to go to Philly once a month, and then usually I'll drive up here. But I really haven't been driving. Probably within the past month, I really haven't put any hours into Uber and Lyft, just because my day job has been so demanding over the past month or so, with people being off for holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas coming up. I've been getting some decent overtime, so I haven't had the need to make extra money. Day job is flexible. Sometimes I have off tomorrow, so I'm gonna hustle. I don't know if I can answer your question about rideshare taxes, but feel free to ask it, and if I can, I'll try. I would always recommend um, referring to your tax professional about your rideshare stuff, but I can at least try and answer your question for you, since tax season is coming up. All right, guys, I gotta get going. I have somebody calling me right now. I will talk to you guys later in a future live stream. Teddy, if you have any questions, do you get mileage deduction for all your online hours or just the miles of passengers in the car? As far as I know, I personally had an app last year that I used to track my miles that I was driving. I'm pretty sure, do not quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that you get it anytime that you're online. So the second you turn your app on, it starts tracking your miles. Okay? So it should technically be anytime that you are driving for Uber and Lyft. From the second you turn your app on to the second you turn your app off, they are counting your miles. They are counting how much you drive. If you want to be 100% sure, there is a bunch of different mileage tracker apps out there that you can download and you can run the same time that you're driving for Uber and Lyft. That would probably be your best bet, is to use one of those and just double up. I know the first year that I did it I only did it for like 2 months, and I used a mileage tracker, and I also went off Uber and Lyft. And when I went to my tax professional, Uber and Lyft together, the combined mileage was actually more than my app tracked. So I just go off what Uber and Lyft say now. So yeah, if that answers your question. But I will talk to you guys later. So yeah. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye.